Well, I mean, you just look at the stat sheet, and it's just not about points. You know, it's what he's doing on the boards. It's what he's doing from an assist standpoint. He's just a force. He's a force, and I mean, he has put up MVP numbers without a doubt.
I feel like LeBron, there could be a case made for LeBron just about every second of every day, even outside the basketball season. Should LeBron be in the MVP conversation, Chris?
Look, I'm an official voter, and there's no criteria. You know, the NBA doesn't give you any list of how you should vote for MVP. I feel like in recent years, there is more of a consensus because because of technology now, we see all the games. We can read all the writers about the various teams. When you think about it, decades ago, you weren't seeing, you know, if you were in the East, you weren't seeing Kareem every night playing for the Lakers and things like that. So now I feel like there's more of a consensus, and that includes team success, not just your individual play. If you are a voter who believes I just have to give the MVP to the best player in the world.
That's not what MVP is.
Well, no, I mean, there's many different things. Like I said, to me, it's never been just who's the best player in the world.
Right.
Because Michael Jordan could have won it for a decade straight, and LeBron could win it for a decade straight. Neither one of them has been given that. So from what I view as MVP is a phenomenal individual season coupled with great team success, unless there's some type of aberration like Russell Westbrook getting a triple-double last year. I have to go with James Harden. So I would say no to the question. I don't think there's an MVP discussion. I think James Harden is so far ahead of everybody else that he's number one. The discussion is who's number two, and that could be LeBron or Anthony Davis. But for number one, it's James Harden clearly to me.
All right, let's show LeBron versus Harden numbers for the year, because Harden has been the runaway leader throughout the season. And if you look at their numbers side by side, Harden's got him by 3 points in points per game. LeBron obviously averages more rebounds. Surprisingly, LeBron's even averaging more assists. And the field goal percentage is drastic, right? LeBron shooting 10% better from the field. Also, everyone agrees LeBron is the best player in the league. I think most people agree LeBron is the one player more than anybody else on a contender that if you remove him, they go from contender to not a playoff team. I think LeBron, so you can argue as far as value proposition, that's LeBron. I say all that to say this. James Harden's the MVP. Because the MVP, here, I'm not a voter. As infuriating as that is to me. As Chris Broussard said to me, I know.
You may be soon.
As Chris Broussard said to me once about a year ago, I was like, why do you get to be a voter and I don't? He's like, I don't know. I've covered the league for 25 years. Like, you go on TV and talk about LeBron. I was like, all right, good point, sir. Here's the reason it's got to be James Harden. Because the other thing the MVP is to me is a historical marker. We need to see who that season was about at times. And it is important when we are talking about the greats of the greats. The biggest knock on Dwayne Wade, like D-Wade versus Dirk Nowitzki historically, that's an interesting conversation. But you know why the tie goes to Dirk? He's got a league MVP. D-Wade never, I think he only finished in top 3 once. James Harden deserves an MVP. Like, he deserved it, I thought, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I voted for him.
He had a strong argument last year. I know you voted for Russ last year. If Russ didn't have the triple-double.
And I mean, if Russ was 9.7.
Right. Which is why some
rebounds,
people think it was crazy that he didn't win it last year. Harden deserves it. Harden's on the best team. He's been their best player. Everyone knows LeBron's the best player in the world. And amazingly, you can argue this month of March, LeBron is having the best month of his career. He's never averaged in a month more combined points, assists, and rebounds than he is this month. He also is going to win Eastern Conference Player of the Month every month of the year except for January, because he's going to win it again in March. He might average a triple-double again this month after going his entire career without averaging a triple-double until this past February. He's been extraordinary. But if I had a vote, I think it definitely should be James Harden. I disagree with you that there should be a contest for number 2. LeBron, to me, has clearly surpassed what Anthony Davis has done.
If you put up the numbers, Davis averaging more points, more rebounds. He has a better PER. Field goal percentage is virtually the same. He's at 54. LeBron's at 55. And his team's got about the same record in the West against tougher competition. You brought up a good point about historical relevance. The problem is, I agree with you, but it's skewed already. The fact that Steve Nash, who I voted for in those 2 years he won it, has 2 MVPs, and Shaq and Kobe only have 2 combined, is...
It's a shame on Shaq
crazy.
Deserved more.
Shaq
Kobe
deserved
was lucky
more.
to get
I
the
think
one.
Kobe deserved, but Kobe was the best player in the world at times.
Oh.
You know, right there. I know you're Mr. Analytics.
I mean, the night he scored
Kobe
81,
Bryant,
I suppose.
come on, man.
We
Don't
gotta
sleep
break
on.
it.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like Kevin Love is Karl Malone. Okay, he's not. Okay, he's not an all-time great power forward by any stretch of the imagination, but he has become woefully underrated, I think. People act like Kevin Love is a scrub. Kevin Love is a 20-point, 10-rebound machine. Almost guaranteed to do that when he is the definitive second option, and that's what he is now that Kyrie's gone, now that Isaiah's gone. Isaiah thought he was 1A. All right, so Kevin Love got moved back to 3. As the second option, he gives it to you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And remember, when he was in Minnesota, I know the teams never made the playoffs, but I'm going to say had they been in the East, they would have at least made it his last year there. He was putting up numbers we had not really seen consistently. I mean, a 26-point, 20-rebound game here and there. That we had not seen really since Moses Malone.
I think he averaged 15 rebounds a game.
One year he may have. I mean,
13 and a half.
he had some huge numbers. So Kevin Love is a very good second option, particularly in the Eastern Conference for LeBron James.
Listen, the Cavs, I know that everyone's written the story on the Cavs 5 times, despite the fact that you want to know what this Nets game was? The first game they played all year with the team they're going to have going into the playoffs. And by the way, they still didn't have Korver. Right. Jeff Green didn't play. And if you care about Jetty Osman, he wasn't there. And the coach wasn't there. And it was still the closest facsimile to the team they will have going into the playoffs because they hadn't been playing. Love been injured since the trade deadline. Then Rodney Hood had been injured. Obviously, Korver had been out. So, of course, they're going to be better. Like, what we have right now, and I'm glad people are maybe eventually coming over to see this, is that LeBron's going to be playing at this A-plus level throughout the postseason. Now he's got a legitimate second option who makes life so much easier on Rodney Hood, George Hill. Like, you could see, I was at the game last night, so a lot of the shots that the camera didn't show, I could see. LeBron's excitement level when Hill and Hood made plays was so much greater than when, for example, Kevin Love did. And that's not because he doesn't like Kevin Love. It's because he knows what he's going to get from Kevin Love. It's exactly what you said. He's consistent. But for the Cavs to win a championship, which is obviously what LeBron's only real goal is, he needs Hill and Hood to both play great. And Love spaces the floor better for them, makes it to where they don't have to be a second option. They can just hit some open shots. And this was the second game all year. Well, I'm sorry, the first game all year that Hill, Hood, and Love have all played well. Yep. And so now and it's just the second game all year that Hill and Hood have played well together. Like, that is offensively the best version of the Cavs. Now, defensively, they still need to be much better.
Well, here's a key for them. Kevin Love has shot 48% from 3 since he's been back. They need Larry Nance to protect the rim because you obviously lose something defensively with Love. But if you have Larry Nance in there protecting the rim to some degree, then that helps you defensively, and Love can stretch the floor.
What's the knock on Love? He's done nothing but contribute before he hurt his hand and from the first day he came back. So why, you said people have called him a scrub or whatever. Why?
Well, I think, one, when he was there as a third option with Kyrie, then he was inconsistent. I mean, you never knew what you were getting night in, night out from him. But I say that's the life of a third option. I mean, a third option is going to be inconsistent. And then defensively, he doesn't give it to you defensively. So when he's not playing big offensively, then what is he out there for? That's kind of the feeling.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.